Hey everyone, I'm Terrence, aka Halo, the sole developer of On Dog Terms, a new multiplayer open-world horror investigation RPG game that I released to early access on Steam about 3 months ago. So I wanted to make a video for new players, but also for returning players because so much has changed since then. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through a dungeon investigation on the new training tutorial mode that I introduced in 0.1.3. I'm going to be giving you a whole bunch of tips that you can use that should be really helpful for you, whether you're using it as a guide in parallel as you're playing the game or something that you can watch before you jump into it. So without further ado, let's get started. You can see down in the bottom, you have the complete your first dungeon objective, right? And it says press J to view objective progress. Now, when you do press J, the most important thing here to pay attention to is the green text up here at the top left that says dungeons can be found on the world map. I want to point this out because it's really important and it's going to help you get around and navigate through the map so much easier. There is something called waypoints in the game that you can create by right-clicking on the map. And so I can go ahead and just right-click here, for example. And if I close my map, you'll see that there's an actual in-game waypoint that will guide you into the direction of where you're trying to go. So let's go ahead and head to our first dungeon. We're actually going to go to the train station for this. So because I like being a cat, I'm going to go ahead and press C, become a cat, and make my way there. And so you see right over here, we can go ahead and follow that waypoint. It's going to bring me directly to the train station dungeon, which is right here. We're going to go ahead and interact with the Astral Shrine because really what this is how we enter dungeons, how we start dungeons. So you can see right here, we have these options for training, easy, normal, hard. We're going to keep training and we're going to press start dungeon. Now, when we press start dungeon, we'll get these two little cards that pop up that say set your pace. Now you can compare the two different options, but what you'll find out is that the tutorial option is your best bet, especially if you're a brand new player, because what it's going to do is going to turn off almost every single threat in the entire dungeon. It's going to allow you to take your time while you're learning and soaking up all of those mechanics. Once you get a little bit comfortable with that, you can then come back and do another dungeon and do it on practice. What this will do is the opposite. It'll turn the threats on and it will essentially simulate an easy mode that's actually a little bit easier than easy mode. So you can stop practicing all of those threats and eventually move your way onto that. But we're going to do this on the tutorial version so we can take our time walking through talking about things. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And we get the next page here. You see choose an entity to investigate. So in this game, we have 3 core entities, the demon, the ghost, and the witch. And each one of them have 4 subtypes. Like you can see right here. The ghost has a poltergeist, a revenant, a wraith, and a yuri. And we're going to go over those types once we get to the hunt. But for now, you can choose any of the 3 types that you want to go against. All right, so we selected ghost and we opened up the dungeon. If you haven't noticed, in front of the dungeon, there's these really large branches that actually block you from entering. Whenever you go to an Astral Shrine, click Start Dungeon and choose your type, your entity type, you can then bring down those branches and walk into the dungeon. And before we go in, we're actually going to press F to activate our flashlight. And you can see down in the bottom right corner of the screen that we have an action bar, which talks about the astral form, which is your C key, your flashlight is your F key, and mouse wheel is actually going to toggle between different items. And we'll go over the other 2, which are R and T later, which are the adrenaline and energy drinks that we'll be using soon. So let's go ahead and walk into the dungeon and we get this first pop-up right away. This pop-up is just going to let you know that you want to follow the bottom center most message, which is going to be highlighted or bordered in a nice bright teal box that's going to help walk you through step by step through the dungeon. What we want to do at this point is look at the bottom center of the screen. In that teal box, we have a message that tells us to enter our astral form and use right mouse. So we go ahead, press C, and then click right mouse. That gives us our astral vision. The astral vision lets us see special things that the human can't see. In this situation, we can see dark matter. So you can see that it tells us find the dark matter level 1. And if you noticed right over here on the screen, we can already see it. So over there in the distance, we have the dark matter level 1. So we want to make our way over to that. Go up to this, click E. Done. What that's going to do is it's going to spawn an evidence for us that we can start physically searching for as either a human or as a cat. In this situation, we're going to look for it as a cat. That's the best way to find ectoplasm. Now, if we see at the bottom center of the screen, we have a new message once I transmuted that. This message says ectoplasm is spawned. It says in astral form, so we want to stay as a cat, search for glowing green material on the ground. But it says it's easy to see when you don't have astral vision on. So this is really important. Go ahead and right mouse to get out of astral vision, because it's going to be hard to see. When you're looking for an ectoplasm, you're going to want to look for this really, really bright green, usually like footsteps that are on the ground, and that can be hard to see in a black and white vision. And then what we want to do when we do find it, we want to use the cat, and this is the fun part with the cat. We can go up to each one of those little ectoplasms and use R. We'll go ahead and use that right now. So right there, the cat is going to perform this little animation, and he's going to do this on all the ectoplasms until he finds the right one. You'll know when you find the right one, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. And look at that, we got really lucky this time. And you can, look at this, we can actually see, this is cool, this is actually kind of rare. We got to see the entity, in this case a ghost, actually walking, creating those ectoplasms, so that's really cool. So now what we're going to do is we talked about before. We're going to go up to the ectoplasm, click R, and do that little animation and try to get it. Now you don't have to click it multiple times. I just clicked it twice. We clicked it once, there was nothing there. So we go ahead and move to the next one. Do the same thing. There's nothing there. We're gonna move to the next one. Nothing there. We're gonna move to the last one. And there it is. Energy level 1 has spawned. Hold E to absorb it. So we're gonna have to exit our astral form by clicking C. And there it is. This is the energy that we need. Hold E. Boom. And there you go. Step 2, we want to get energy level 2. Now, in order to do that, we look at the bottom center of the screen and we see another message. This message says, find and use the spirit charm, then enter astral form, and here's the most important part. Crouch before the spirits see you. Again, you want to crouch in astral form. So you're going to see exactly why that's the case. Make sure you're quick about it. The spirit charm will spawn anywhere in the dungeon, usually 3 places, 5 different places. So just kind of walk around until it pops up. So for example, we're going to go this way and you can kind of see it right here, right? So it says spirit charm. Now it does have this little green message at the bottom. You guys can click Y if you want. There's an option here and press Y to read details. If you read details, it's going to explain to you just in a lot more depth what a spirit charm is and what to expect from it. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And you can also see underneath the name, it says spawns evil spirits that cannot detect crouched astral form. And you're like, what in the world does that mean? So we're about to see that in a second, but you notice how I talk about crouched astral form, and in the message down the bottom, I also say, make sure you crouch. So here we go. We're going to hold E. And now immediately, cat, crouch. Okay. So we used spirit charm. We go right into astral form, crouch. Now notice, look at these floating spirits. Very creepy, but they can't attack you while you are crouched as an astral cat. It doesn't matter if you're walking, they see you, you are immune completely. Now what we want to do is the same thing we did with dark matter level 1. We want to right mouse. So at the bottom center of the screen, what you see is a new message. Activate astral form. Right mouse. I'm going to run this way. Run, run, run. Crouch. I'm going to run a little more. Crouch. And here it is. Press E. There you go. All the spirits are gone. Now we can safely look for a negative temp. So I'm going to go ahead. Exit astral form. Press C. I'm going to mouse wheel. Now I already have my my thermometer out. Typically you would just mouse wheel. You can see down below it says a negative temp is spawned. We got a new message. Mouse wheel to the thermo gun. So put that on. And we're going to search the dungeon for declining temperatures. Now, this is the tricky part that you might forget often until you do a little bit and you go, oh yeah. You want a left mouse. You want to hold down your left mouse so you get a little laser pointer like this. So you can get an accurate reading, which you're hoping to eventually be negative. So you see right over here, hold left mouse. I'm at 8 degrees-ish. I hold left mouse. And I'm going to stop pointing. And you see now as I go to the left, it's going up. So that's the wrong direction. Hold right. There it is. We get the negative and we saw purple screen. So this is what we want right here. And we're just going to right mouse. So just while I'm holding left, right mouse. You see the message at the bottom updated. We got energy level 2 is spawned. Go ahead and hold E. It's actually on the other side. Hold E. Done. There it is. So that's your energy level 2. Notice my sanity down at the bottom is half. If we hit 0, we will die. There's a couple means of getting more sanity back. That is to use an adrenaline pen, which is the R key in the bottom right of our action bar. You can craft adrenaline pens and then use them to get sanity. Those are very good for hunts, so try to conserve them if you can. But in the tutorial mode, they're unlimited, so you can use them as much as you want. But there's a nice free source of sanity called lights, or light sources. You can see them right here. These restore sanity when they're on or while they're active. So right now I want sanity back. I want it because the summoning circle might hurt me. So I'm going to go ahead and click E. And see the light is on and I'm getting sanity back. All right, so we're looking around for a summoning circle. So I'm going to go ahead and walk around. They spawn in random areas of the dungeon. So in this situation, I'm walking. Here it is. We found that nice and quick. And here you go. So you can look. Once again, you can click Y to read details about the summoning circle. But if we look here, at the bottom, you see these green text, and it says, spawns a ritual doorway to walk through. Yes, literally a door is going to appear, and we're going to walk through it. So I'm going to go ahead and find and use this. We're going to put down what's called a summoning skull. These can be found in the open world. You're actually going to have to loot them. And now if I press B to open my inventory, you can rekeybind that to anything you want, like tab, for example. I have one summoning skull in my backpack. So if you run out of skulls, when you're in tutorial mode, it's unlimited. You can use the skulls as many times as you want. But later on, these skulls will get consumed. So in the open world, you'll want to find and loot them. But I'm going to go ahead and put down my summoning skull. There it is. There's the door. And you can see that the bottommost message, we talked about this before, the most important part when doing a tutorial is paying attention to that bottommost message with the teal border. It says, equip your lighter. We're going to go ahead and mouse wheel and walk through the summoning door. So go ahead like that. And here we are in this kind of like new weird world. And we got another new message at the bottom. And it says, find the non-mimic book using your lighter. So we have to keep the lighter out. And when we find that mimic or non-mimic book, we want to hold V and say, hail the darkness to it. And that's going to give us a level 3. Question, what in the world am I looking for? Well, here's a book of rituals. So it says, approach with your lighter lit. Okay, well, my lighter's lit, so I guess I'll go up to it. And there it is. So that is clearly a mimic, right? You're looking at this and going, what in the world? Now, if I get just close enough, look, we can kind of like show this off. That this thing is a mimic. We don't want anything to do with that. Now, I'm just far enough that he can't damage me. If this hits you, you'll take damage. Let's go ahead and show you. I'm going to get close to him. Look at my sanity. So he dealt damage to me. Now he does more damage the higher the difficulty. So be very careful about these guys. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead to the other book. That's definitely not the book we're looking for. We're looking for something. There it is. Perfect. So you see right here, non-mimic. It's not trying to eat me. So this is the book that I want. And it says on the book, actually, hail the darkness. So we're going to hold V and say hail the darkness. So hail the darkness. There we go. You see the bottommost message updated again. It says energy level 3 has spawned. Hold E to absorb it. So go ahead, hold E. All set. So at the bottom, we have this new message. Once again, message keeps updating. Watch that bottom message. It's going to just constantly update to something new to walk you to where you want to go next. In this situation, it says find and enter the portal. Then use the offering and survival hunt. Let's go ahead and make our way to where a portal is. In this situation there, you can see it. Massive purple circular portal over here. I'm going to run over this way. And all you got to do is walk right into it. So let's start with the hunt info. So a little bit self-explanatory. This is literally going to explain to us how a hunt works for a ghost. Now, for this video, I don't want to go through exactly how a ghost hunt works. I could have separate videos for that, like, demon hunts, witch hunts, and kind of go through the process. So you can read about the hunt info on your own when you get to this point and try to understand how it works. But I'll give you a quick rundown. If I press E, I can read the full details on a hunt. We're not going to go through these full details. We're going to read the summary. You can pause the video if you like, read the details on your own, or if you're in game, you can also read these details. But in summary, when you start the offering, the hunt will begin immediately, and he will always spawn every single time right near that offering. Here it says, search the other side for the book with the teal sigils. Be mindful of your exposure on the other side when crossing coffins, and repair sigils defined by the sequence in the book. Here we are at the deduction process. As you can see, I've labeled it very important in all capital lock because I feel like this is one of the most important things in the game. So we're going to go ahead and open up the deduction, and you can see you get hit with this UI called Getting Started with Deduction. Now, don't be hasty. Don't click the View Abilities button immediately. Read the screen. Take time to understand what this is telling you, because this screen right here is the most important screen. This is going to tell you how it is that you determine an entity, and then attune with that later on to get experience points. If you jump to the abilities, you're going to be very confused when you start the hunt as to what in the world is going on. Even if you survive and get your energy, you're going to go, what in the world happened? And then you're going to attune, get it wrong, and go, huh? So spend a lot of time here reading this. So let's go through it. Abilities, okay? All entities have 4 subtypes, each with its own ability. Now, if you don't remember, in the very beginning when we were at the Astral Shrine, we were looking at Demon, Ghost, Witch, and I said each one of them have 4 types. Like the Ghost had a Poltergeist, had a Revenant, a Yuri, right? So the point was in a Wraith. Each one of those has its own ability. However, the Ghost will try to use all of them to confuse you. Every few seconds, it will use one of the 4 abilities. It will rotate them randomly. One time it's a Polty ability, then it's a Wraith ability, then it's Wraith again, and then it's Yuri. And you're going to go, wait, huh? Like, how am I supposed to know? And that's why you want to read this, because this explains what in the world is really going on. So the second part, you're like, okay, got it. It's going to use 1 out of 4 abilities randomly every few seconds. Okay. Determining the entity is the next step. You must observe which ability was used most of the time throughout the hunt. So an entity will only use its abilities during the hunt. I know some people think they're getting hunted when they're outside of this realm, so they haven't even gone through the portal, and they think they're getting a hunt. That's not what a hunt is. So you haven't, I don't want to get ahead or confuse you, but later on there's going to be a thing called an awakening, and the entity will run around like inside the dungeon, like the train station. That is not a hunt. That is a completely different mechanic. Also, during that time, he's not using abilities. Abilities are only used during a hunt. You can't see them any other time. Okay, so that's very, 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 very important. So again, you have to hunt it, and you have to pay attention to what ability is being used most of the time. Because like I said before, it's going to try to use all of them. Now you can click View Abilities and actually know what the 4 abilities are. Now, I'm not going to go through all 4 abilities. That could be, again, a totally different video. I mostly want to guide you through doing a dungeon from the beginning. Starting the dungeon at the Astral Shrine, getting a level 1 energy, a level 2 energy, a level 3 energy, and how you get your level 4 energy. And then go ahead and attune that for the first time. All right, here we go. Let's start the ghost hunt. All right, so you see right there, he spawned right in the middle. He's going to do this every single time. He spawns in the middle, and see that grace period? He didn't attack me. Oh, here we go. You see that small speed up? That's a Revenant ability. Right off the bat, I'm observing him. Now, you don't want to necessarily do what I'm doing right now. See, that's a Revenant again. I'm walking backwards constantly like this. This will be a little bit harder to do. That coffin was a Poltergeist. That's 2 abilities. Remember how I said he's going to use 4 abilities? 1 of the 4 randomly every few seconds. So far, we've seen Revenant and Polty. So I'm going to keep running. What we're doing is we're trying to figure out, there's a Poltergeist ability right there. We're trying to figure out which ones is he using the most. But it seems right now that he's using Poltergeist and Revenant as his favored. But the question is he using Pulti or Revenant more often? But let's get to the hunt. Let's say, okay, I have a good feeling this might be a Revenant. We're going to look around for some coffins. This is how we do the hunt. You see this coffin with the candles? I'm going to walk right in. I'm looking for a floating book. Now, while I'm in here, he cannot attack me. That's a Yuri. You see that transparent figure? That's a Yuri ability. So now we've seen 3 abilities. Now, at the bottom, I have an exposure bar. I don't want that to hit 0 because I'll die. So I'm going to get out and look for another coffin. Let's go look for a coffin. Coffin right over here. Go in. No book. Now, he's coming towards me. I don't want to get out. He could get me. Okay, let's get out. I'm going to run by. Now, I wanted to show you in the very beginning how you observe an entity's behavior. How you see what abilities it's doing while you're getting hunted. Now, what you can do, you have a couple options. Here's another coffin. I'm going to run the coffin. And there's the book. We have the satchel. It's easy to see without your flashlight. Now, remember, I said you could drink before. You have this infinite amount of consumables. There's the satchel. I'm going to click that. Okay, we have 2 more. Go into the coffin. There's no book here. I'm going to run out. I'm looking for the book. I'm going to go in this one. There's my book. The second one is the offering. We're going to let him leave so we don't get killed. We're looking for the offering. Where did I miss it? Oh, it's right here. Now we got 1 more. So I'm going to go into this coffin. I'm going to drink. I'm going to run out because there's no book. And he's right there. We almost ran into him. He's using the Revenant ability. I'm going to walk in. And that was a Pulti. Last one is a candelabra, and I actually know what that is. And there's the candle. We're going to go ahead and click that. Turn around. Where is he? He's currently a Yuri. Now he's a Revenant. That's why I thought Revenant. Revenant again. Let's click that. We're done. And there's your level 4 energy. The level 4 energy will always spawn wherever the entity last was when you finish the hunt. So if he was in the back of the room, that's where the energy is. It's just wherever he was. Go ahead and hold E to absorb that. And there it is. And you can see at the bottom it says, select an entity in your database L based on the ability you think was used the most during the hunt. Now, I talked about Revenant a lot, but we did notice that it was using a lot of different things. It was using Pulti, it was using Revenant, it was using Yuri, because we knew that it could use one of the 4 randomly anytime it wanted, as over here. But in the ability section, I thought it was a Revenant a lot because it seemed to increase its movement speed pretty frequently. Yuri meant transparent. We did see transparent a lot, and Pulti meant fake coffin. So, but it seemed like he was doing the Revenant a little more often than he was doing everything else. This is how we determine what we're dealing with. We go into a hunt and we observe what is that entity doing and which of those abilities is he doing the most. So I'm going to go ahead and say Revenant. Now you see the message at the bottom updated. Leave the dungeon and attune with the Astral Shrine. So all we have to do is run out of the portal and get out of here. You got outside of the dungeon. You go back to the Astral Shrine because that's where it wants you to go. We're going to go ahead and click E. And here it is. We have everything we need. We have all 4 energy. We think it's a Revenant. And now we can finally click that attune button. Click attune. It's going to tell you it's going to end the dungeon. You're like, that's fine. You have to end the dungeon in order to attune. Everybody, if you're in a multiplayer group, everybody has to select their entity before you do this. Otherwise, someone will be left out and they won't be able to attune. So click yes. We're waiting. And we got it right. And you get this message. Your first dungeon story quest has been completed. It was a Revenant indeed. And you can see your average sanity. You get all these little stats inside here. But we knew it was a Revenant because even though it was doing Pulti and Yuri, I had a really good feeling based on what I was seeing that he was speeding up a lot more than he was using the coffins and he was using, or the fake coffins, and he was using the transparency. So I went with my gut and I thought, no, I'm pretty sure about Revenant. And that's what it was. It was a Revenant. So that's it. That's a full dungeon investigation without doing other things like awakenings, flash hunts, embodiments. That's a whole new system that you will get to experience on your own after you've gotten familiar with the tutorial and said, hey, I think I kind of have a general understanding of how the core gameplay loop works. Level 1 through 4 energy, surviving a hunt, observing the entity, see what abilities it uses, and then determining what I think it is based off of what was used the most. That is the core loop of this game. And then there's all these other really cool things I can do. And there's open world things you guys can do. So I hope that this video really helped you guys out. I've been meaning to make a video like this for a while. I've just been so busy with all of the updates that I've been doing, getting the game prepared for Screamfest, trying to get rid of as many bugs as possible so that you guys can have a good time, especially new players. I know that, you know, going back a couple months ago, right, there was so much information. It was overwhelming. So I hope that this new tutorial version is really going to help all of you out. And I hope you just have a good time and you have fun. So thank you so much for supporting me, for watching this video, for being part of the Discord, being part of the community, following along. And I hope that I was able to help you guys out. Thank you so much for supporting.